You took your first breath in a hospital room in the heart of Tokyo, illuminated by neon lights yet strangely silent. Everything in the room where you opened your eyes worked with the precision of an operating theater, spotless and mechanical. Your father was a typical salaried office worker, and your mother a housewife. At least, that's what she had become. Because in Japan, women are often expected to withdraw into part-time work or domestic life after marriage or childbirth. You were a typical Japanese family. You were an only child. In fact, you might have been the only child in that entire apartment building. Because in Japan's rapidly aging streets, you hear more walking sticks and pet noises than children's voices. So, my friend, I've got some bad news. Your life started on hard mode, not physically, but psychologically from the very first second. Until the age of 2, your family raised you in a 40 square meter rabbit hole-like box of an apartment. Yes, homes in Japan are very small. Because 73% of the country is covered with steep mountains, active volcanoes, and forests, it's impossible to build cities there, so people are crammed into the remaining 27% of flat land. When job opportunities and the economy are concentrated in a few giant metropolises like Tokyo, Osaka, and Nagoya, there's barely room to move. On top of that, there's Japan's heavy inheritance tax. You can't simply inherit property from your parents, you have to pay tax on it. And most people end up selling half the land just to afford that tax. Over generations, these plots get divided into thin strips, and on them rise narrow pencil buildings, filled with tiny 15-20 square meter micro-apartments on each floor. Culture plays a role too. In Japan, especially for single workers or students, a home is not a place to spend time, it's just a station to sleep and shower. That's why small apartments are so appealing. Anyway, your mother constantly takes care of you so you don't cry and disturb the neighbors. Because in Japan, the biggest rule is not to inconvenience others. Crying, shouting, or showing emotions in public is considered shameful. You make it safely to age 5 through these routines. Now, you're an apprentice of the streets. Japan is so safe that a 5-year-old can ride the metro alone with a wallet around their neck and travel kilometers to school. No one touches you. No one kidnaps you. You could even play outside until 3 a.m. Nothing would happen to you. At 7, you're sent to public school, where the system begins turning you into a perfectly functioning cog. There are 40 students in your class. Everyone wears the same uniform. The famous Japanese saying applies, "The nail that sticks out gets hammered down. Order is everything." There are no janitors either. Students clean everything from scrubbing toilets to wiping hallways. This is called osoji, meant to instill humility and equality from a young age. There are no professional security guards either. In the past, school gates were wide open, but after the horrific Osaka school attack in 2001, rules changed. Now, large iron gates are locked during school hours. Instead of guards, elderly local men retired and familiar with the neighborhood sit in small guard booths. Volunteers in reflective vests help children cross streets safely. Community solidarity is at its peak. But what if someone dangerous enters the school? Will these old men protect you? No. That responsibility falls on male teachers. In school corridors, there are 2-meter-long metal fork-like tools called sasumata, inherited from samurai times. If an attacker enters, teachers pin them against the wall with these tools until police arrive. Students also carry alarms in their backpacks, pull the cord, and a deafening siren alerts the entire neighborhood. So yes, you're attending one of the safest schools in one of the safest countries in the world, and you don't need to worry about someone bringing a gun, because in Japan, a civilian obtaining a firearm is about as likely as a meteor hitting your head. Handguns are completely banned, no exceptions, no licenses, no loopholes. Only hunters can own shotguns or air rifles, and even that requires written exams, psychological evaluations, and 95% shooting accuracy. Even then, police investigate your family and neighbors. And if, by a 1 in a million chance, someone obtains a weapon illegally and attacks a school, then lockdown procedures begin immediately. The Japanese police surround the school within minutes. This is possible because instead of large police stations, Japan has over 6,000 small neighborhood police boxes called koban. When an alert comes in, cameras track the attacker live, invaded including and officers from the nearest koban are dispatched within seconds. Traffic lights turn green for police vehicles, and anti-terror units mobilize instantly. Schools are a red line. I didn't explain all this to compare countries, but to show how far some places go to ensure children's safety. Anyway, the education system isn't designed to sharpen your intelligence, but to make you a flawless, obedient citizen. In elementary school, you learn morals and order, lining up, respecting others, sharing food. But school alone isn't enough for a good university. So at age 10, you enter Juku evening cram schools. Under pressure not to disappoint your family, you study from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., dozing off on trains on the way home. At 12, in middle school, rules tighten. As a girl, you wear the famous sailor uniform. Even in freezing winter, you must wear a short skirt. Leggings or pants are forbidden. Even if your hair is naturally brown, you're forced to dye it black for uniformity. Discipline is everything. By 15, life becomes a survival game. High school isn't mandatory, but 99% attend, because a good high school leads to a good university, which leads to a good company. One small mistake on your record can ruin your life. Your entire future depends on entrance exams. You study hard, get into a good high school, then a university at 18. University is the only vacation the system gives you 4 years to travel, party, and make memories. You can vote at 18, but politics are dominated by men in their 70s and 80s. Most young people don't even vote, thinking it won't change anything. You reach 21 without becoming a hikikomori, someone who isolates from society. Congratulations. But now, job hunting begins even before graduation. Companies don't measure your skills, but your obedience. You join the clone army of applicants. After graduation, the real nightmare starts. You're packed into trains every morning. Even if your shift ends, you can't leave before your boss. As a woman, you're expected to serve tea, clean desks, and make copies for male managers. The system doesn't see you as a leader, but as decoration. If your boss invites you out for drinks, you can't refuse. Decline, and your career is over. This cycle is so intense that hundreds die each year from overwork karoshi. Officially, you work 8 hours. In reality, unpaid overtime is expected, voluntary overtime. Leave early, and you face severe workplace bullying. Even your 10 days of annual leave often go unused because people feel guilty burdening coworkers. There's no sick leave either. Even with a fever of 39 degrees Celsius, you're expected to work. Being sick is seen as weakness. If you collapse and are hospitalized, those days are deducted from your vacation. Exhaustion is constant. If you fall asleep at your desk, it's not laziness, it's seen as loyalty. Once a year, you get a break. Golden Week. But since the entire country goes on holiday at the same time, it becomes another struggle. You can't easily quit your job either. Moving to the countryside isn't practical. Villages are aging, isolated, and lack services. Even if you start your own business, society sees you as someone who failed to conform. Without working for a respected company, you can't rent an apartment, get a loan, or even be considered marriage material. Some resist the system, but often end up working part-time and living in tiny internet cafes. By your mid-20s, marriage pressure begins. There's a cruel term, Christmas cake. Cakes are valuable until December 25th. After that, no one wants them. Women over 25 face this stigma. You either marry quickly or are labeled undesirable. But for now, your career comes first. You don't have a suitable partner, nor the financial means to start a family. So you keep working just to survive. At 25, you lie in your small, rented room, surrounded by anime figures or empty white walls, holding your smartphone. As you drift to sleep, you wonder, will I make it home before him tomorrow? If I die alone in this room, how long until someone finds me? Will I find a spot by the train window tomorrow morning? And you fall asleep. Good night. And yes, that was the video. If you liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next life. Until then, Fracture is out. Bye.